Audi might be the most misunderstood badge on the road today. Everyone knows the four rings stand for premium, German, fast, and quietly clever. But hardly anyone can actually tell you what separates a 38,000-pound A3 from a 200,000-pound R8, beyond the obvious fact that one of them sounds like the end of the world. So here's the truth most buyers never work out. The gap between the cheapest Audi and the most expensive one has almost nothing to do with how quickly you merge onto the motorway. It is about what Audi is really selling you at each rung of the ladder. Stick with me and you will know exactly which level actually delivers for your money, which one is just charging you for a badge, and where the smart buyers quietly settle. And if you think the entry cars are just watered-down versions of the real thing, wait until we get to level 6, because that is where Audi completely loses its mind. These are the 7 levels of Audi. Let's go. Level 1, Entry Compact. This is Audi opening the front door and letting normal buyers in. The cast here is the A3 Saloon, the hotter S3, and the Q3 Compact SUV. The mission is simple. Pull someone out of a Volkswagen Golf or a Mazda 3 and get those 4 rings onto their driveway. The A3 kicks off around 38,000 pounds with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder making about 201 horsepower, a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, and Quattro all-wheel drive available if you want it. The Q3 is roughly the same money, just taller and more practical. People get this level completely wrong. They treat these as half-baked, cut-price Audis that miss the target. They are not. These are direct rivals to the Mercedes A-Class, the BMW 2 Series, and the Lexus UX, and on interior quality, the A3 usually wins. You get the full Audi cabin experience, the digital virtual cockpit, the crisp infotainment, the material quality that feels a class above the price. The compromise is what is underneath. These ride on Volkswagen Group's front drive platform, so even with Quattro, the character is different from the proper Audis higher up. 0 to 60 lands around 6 seconds. Quick enough for daily life, nothing that will rearrange your face. If you want the spicy one, the S3 turns that same basic recipe up to around 328 horsepower and a low 4-second sprint. And honestly, it is one of the most underrated performance bargains Audi makes. One warning though, these depreciate hard. A 3-year-old A3 can be down 40%, so the clever play at level 1 is to buy nearly new and let someone else absorb the hit. Level 2, Core Luxury. Now we are into real Audi territory. This is the A5, which has effectively replaced the old A4 in the current lineup, and the Q5, the car that genuinely pays Audi's bills. The A5 starts around 46,000 pounds, the Q5 sits in the same ballpark, and loaded with the options people actually tick, you're looking at the mid-50s. On paper, the jump from level 1 looks like 7 or 8 grand. In the way these cars drive, it is night and day. You get a more sophisticated platform, a longitudinal engine layout, and a chassis that finally feels properly engineered rather than just badged. The 2-liter turbo here makes around 261 horsepower, there is mild hybrid assistance to smooth everything out, and the whole car feels planted and grown up in a way the A3 simply cannot match. Road noise drops. The steering gains weight and honesty. Bumps that thump through a Q3 just disappear. The Q5 has been Audi's bestseller for years, and not because it is exciting, because it is exactly what people want. Comfortable, beautifully built, quietly quick enough, and easy to live with. If a friend asked me where to actually start with Audi, this is the level I would point at. This is where the badge starts earning itself. Level 3, Executive Class. This is where an Audi quietly tells the car park you have done well, without you having to say a word. We are talking the A6, the sleek A7 Sportback, the 3-row Q7, and the coupe-styled Q8. The A6 opens around 58,000 pounds. The SUVs climb from 60 into the 70s and 80s once you start adding kit. Here you get a proper 3-liter V6 option, genuine rear seat space for adults to sit behind adults, and the kind of motorway refinement that turns a long drive into nothing at all. The A7 is the design piece, a 4-door that looks like a coupe and ages beautifully. The Q7 is the sensible 7-seater that does family duty without feeling like a van. The Q8 is the Q7 in a tailored suit, trading a bit of practicality for sheer presence. This is also where Audi's technology really shows up. The dual-screen interfaces, the adaptive air suspension, the driver aids that take the edge off a boring commute. Be honest with yourself, though. The A6 and Q7 only make sense if you genuinely use the space or rack up serious miles. If it is just you most days, the Level 2 cars give you 90% of this for a lot less. The industry's worst-kept secret is that most people buy far more car than they will ever actually use. Level 4, the flagship. This is the A8 and its hot rod twin, the S8. No SUV is needed here because this car already says everything. The A8 starts around 90,000 pounds with a smooth 3-liter V6, and the S8 pushes past 130,000 with a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, making over 560 horsepower. The clever bit is that the S8 hides all of that. It will do 0 to 60 in around 3.5 seconds while wafting along like a limousine with active suspension that reads the road through cameras and leans into corners to keep the cabin flat. This car is not really about the person driving it. It is about whoever is being driven. The rear seats can recline, heat, cool, and massage. The cabin is hushed to the point where you can hold a phone call at motorway speed without raising your voice. Honest take? The A8 is maybe 20% better than a loaded A6 in every measurable way for a lot more money. That maths only works if you are the person who notices the difference on every single drive, or the person sitting in the back while someone else does the work. Level 5. S Performance. This is where Audi stops apologizing and starts chasing pace while keeping just enough comfort that you can still use the thing every day. The S badge runs right across the range: S3, S5, S6, S7, the SQ5 and SQ8 SUVs, and the S8 at the top. The recipe is consistent. Take a sensible Audi, add a more powerful engine, a stiffer and lower suspension, bigger brakes, a meaner body kit, and that subtle exhaust bark. The S5 runs a 3-liter turbo V6 around 349 horsepower. The S6 and S7 step up to a twin-turbo V6, making around 444. These are seriously quick cars, 4-second territory, but the whole point of the S range is that it does it quietly. No drama, no fuss, just relentless all-weather pace with Quattro digging in. For a huge number of buyers, an S car is the genuine sweet spot. You get most of the thrill of the proper monsters above with none of the running costs or the attention. If you want one fast Audi that you can park anywhere and drive every single day of the year, this is the level that makes the most sense. If you have made it this far, you clearly care about knowing what you are actually paying for rather than what the brochure tells you. Do me a favor and hit subscribe because the next 2 levels are where this gets genuinely wild. Level 6, RS Performance. Here, Audi quits worrying about your comfort, your fuel bill, and your license, and starts building things that should probably come with a warning label. RS stands for Rennsport, Racing Sport, and these are the full-fat versions. Start with the RS3. It runs the engine Audi fans worship, a 2.5-liter turbocharged 5-cylinder making around 401 horsepower. With that offbeat warble nothing else on the road makes, it will embarrass cars costing twice as much. Then the RS5, with the twin-turbo V6 and around 444 horsepower. But the real legend lives here too, the RS6 Avant. A 4-liter twin-turbo V8, nearly 600 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in the mid-3-second range. And it is a station wagon. An estate car that will keep pace with supercars and still swallow a fortnight's luggage and the family dog. The RS7 is the same engine in a sleeker sportback body, and the RSQ8 crams all of it into a full-size SUV that once held the production SUV lap record at the Nürburgring. And then there is the RS e-tron GT, Audi's electric flagship, which in its hottest performance form makes over 900 horsepower and launches like it has been fired from a railgun. These cars are not sensible. They are not supposed to be. They are proof that Audi can build a genuine monster while keeping a straight face and a usable boot. Level 7, the Halo. This is where Audi stops being a car company for a moment and becomes something closer to an artist, the R8. Built across 2 generations and quietly discontinued in 2024, the R8 was Audi's only true mid-engine supercar, and its heart is the thing that made it special. a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 shared with the Lamborghini Huracan, spinning all the way to around 8,700 revs and making up to 602 horsepower in its final V10 performance form. No turbos, no hybrid trickery, just a screaming 10-cylinder engine sitting behind your head driving through Quattro, hitting 60 in around 3.2 seconds and sounding absolutely extraordinary doing it. What made the R8 remarkable was not just the speed. Plenty of cars are fast. It was that Audi made a genuine supercar you could actually live with. It was reliable, it was comfortable, you could daily it. And then in 2024, Audi switched it off because tightening emissions rules mean a big naturally aspirated V10 has no real future. Every R8 you see now is already a piece of history, the last of a breed that will not be replaced. It is the clearest possible proof that when Audi decides to build something with no compromises and no real budget ceiling, it can stand toe-to-toe with anything from Italy or Germany. So where is the sweet spot? For most people, levels 2 and 3 are where Audi delivers the absolute most for your money. The A5 and Q5 to start, the A6 and Q7, if you genuinely need the space. If you want speed you can use every day, level 5 in an S car is the smart enthusiast's pick. Above that, levels 6 and 7 are about passion, presence, and engineering for its own sake, which is completely fine, as long as you understand that is exactly what you are buying. Audi's whole idea has always been the same: quiet, clever, properly engineered luxury that never has to shout to prove itself. From the 38,000-pound A3 all the way up to the R8. The only real question is how much of it you actually need. If this helped you make sense of the lineup, do the algorithm a favor and smash that subscribe button, because the channel honestly lives and dies by it. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Which level is your personal sweet spot? Would you take the RS6 Avant or save the cash for 2 of something sensible? And is the R8 the greatest Audi ever made, or is that crown going to something else? Drop your answer below and I will see you in the next one.